I wonder, how shall I destroy you?
You like Coldplay?
Yes.
You looking forward to their new album, Ghost Stories?
I actually haven't heard about it until you just mentioned it.
Yeah, they have two. Well, he and his Lime Rock group, band of friends, heroes, what have you. They have two songs out, like Magic and Midnight or something like that. Magic's phenomenal.
It's magic.
Exactly.
Oh.
Wait, that's not. No,
Oh.
that's not it.
Magic.
That's no. It kind of sounds like you're singing it, but then I know what you're singing, and that's not it. And I know it, and you're just messing with me.
But I like that one.
Get out. No, man. What's new? What are you up to?
I actually am up to Hearthstone a lot more than usual.
Why? But why?
I don't know. I reached all the way up to rank 14, which is a new record for me.
What were you playing to get rank 14?
This Paladin deck I threw together.
Is it the same one with the one you've been whipping me with Tyrion and all that mess? Or
Yeah, I've changed it a little bit, but yeah, it's the same, like basically the same deck.
Well, what kind of strengths is this one rocking? Because you played it from 25 to 14, right?
Yeah.
Same one?
Yep.
God damn. What's its polish?
I don't really know how to classify it. I have an answer for everything, I guess.
Okay, so like, give me some cards then. What's in it?
I have Spellbreakers, I have Silences. Alder Peacekeeper is in there, helps me get rid of like big damage threats. I have
What do you use for silence?
Spellbreakers.
Oh, only Spellbreakers? You don't use any owls?
Oh no, I only have the Spellbreaker. Those are the only two Silences I have in the deck. Forge.
You think the owl's any good?
I like him, but I just think he's in the shadow of the Spellbreaker. Because
yeah, he's pretty weak.
There's not too many threats that I want to silence before turn 4, and it's like by the time I'm at turn 4, I'll have a Spellbreaker, or I'm more likely to have a Spellbreaker at turn 4 than I am to have a Ironbeak Owl before turn 4.
Yeah,
So,
Ironbeak Owl's kind of cannon fodder as it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else you got rocking in this Paladin deck that got you to 14?
I have Tyrion.
Of course. Such a powerful card. Wonderful. His some listeners may know his battle cry music. It's part of our intro. It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
It's actually from a song in Warcraft, Call to Arms. It's in the Warcraft soundtrack. That's what that comes from, if anyone was interested. But yeah, go on. I'm sorry. Tyrion, you got any other weapons?
I have True Silver Champion. Yeah, that's like obligatory in any Paladin deck, really.
That is Paladin deck. Oh, of course, 2 silver. True silver.
You
have any interesting perks, like a little tasteful spin that's just you know what I mean? Any cards like that?
I kind of like everything that I have in my deck. Noble Sacrifice, I guess.
Really?
At first, I was using. I had Redemption in there before, and I would use Redemption in combination with, what was it? Tyrion, and they would silence him, and then if they silenced him, or even if they didn't, they would kill him, or I would kill him on purpose or whatever, just by trading. And then he would die and come back, and I would get a second Ashbringer. And he comes back with Divine Shield too.
He doesn't come back silenced though.
No,
right?
he comes back as like everything besides full health. So it's pretty good, like, I guess, trick that I pulled off, I guess. I don't know. It's not really a trick, it's just kind of how the secret works. But then they nerfed that because now secrets can only proc on your opponent's turn.
Yeah,
So they would have to kill him.
that's a good thing though.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty rad, man. For everyone else, welcome to episode, what is this, 18, 19? I think it was 19.
Is it?
It's 19, yeah.
19. Lose count.
Yeah, for 3:29. It's late in the evening. Technically 3:30. Does March have a 30th day this year?
I never knew.
Yeah, has a 31st day. I'm not the kind of person who memorizes that kind of thing. I was actually ridiculed the other day by my girlfriend because I don't know all the states in the United States of America. And I understand why, because that kind of sounds ridiculous, I know. But that's a lot of, what are we, like at 65 states now? I don't like, I know them. If you say, Oklahoma, yeah, that's a state. If you say Pennsylvania, yeah, that's a state. I'm not gonna say, no, that's a capital, or that's a New Guinea province. I don't know. I know the states. I just don't know which of the fucking shapes in North America is fucking Oklahoma.
Did you not learn the song in...
No, because I was too busy trying to memorize the fucking song that teaches you the months in order. And I still sing it to this day. January, February, March, and April.
That's depressing.
Well, look. You never heard the thing about men are good with... You know what? That's not helping my argument. Never mind. Let's move on. So you playing anything else besides Hearthstone?
I believe I mentioned in the last episode, but I'm back into WoW.
Yeah, what are you rolling? Just any alts that your friends happen to be nearby in level?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm currently leveling mostly my Monk and my Death Knight. That seems to be like my primary focus at the moment, but...
Yeah. Have you decided what you're going to boost?
I'm not even sure I'm going to pre-order, because it's like I have 3 level 90s, and those are my 3 favorite classes, Rogue, Warlock, and Shaman.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not even sure I really need to do that.
From what I've heard, getting the boost right now, none of the boosted content is there, so you just get a new 90, and like that's it. They don't drip feed you any of the skills. You get all of it there. It's like if you ever do a beta test and you make a 90 character to test high level content, and you happen to like say, I don't know, I've never had a high level mage, and you make one, you're given like bags of armor and gems and shit and all these skills, and you're like, this is too much. I bit off too much. I don't know what to do. It's just like that right now, from what I hear. I mean, they don't have the content that spoon feeds you it bit by bit yet.
Yeah, like I was looking into what happens when you boost a character, and it said if your character was level 60 or higher and it had professions, it'll give you 600, the current max in professions. So if you've played before, it's like, well, you kind of get a gist of how professions worked because you played before, so we'll boost it to 600 for you, so you don't have to do all that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's like, that's cool and all, but I don't know how I really feel about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad they don't give new players just max professions, because that would just be like, what? But,
yeah, that's a lot of work. I don't know. The game's been out for so long. At this point, like, why even worry about it?
yeah. It's just... They also had, what else did they give them? You'll get, like, level 450 first aid, too, I believe.
Wow. I only ever leveled a few professions, like herbology, almost all the time. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting back into it. I'm probably not going to pre-order a boost because, I mean, there's nothing, like, all there is to do right now is go to Timeless Isle and gear up and get ready. And it's not launched. The Warlords of Draenor is not launching until around November, December anyway, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, they say on the pre-order thing that is scheduled for fall 2014, but Blizzard time it ends up being later.
Yeah,
And
quote
then
unquote soon.
Yeah, and then on the actual website, when you look at the release date, it's like in fine print, expected to be released on or no later than December 2014. So there's like 2 different dates. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. The boost to 90 might be great if you wanted to switch mains, which I'm thinking about. But I'm so fond of Warlock. I kind of want to do a Hunter main, because I've simply never done that before. But I don't know.
Do it.
Come on.
I'll do it.
Well, whatever. Let's get into some Hearthstone news then, and we can go back to some other games in a little bit. I got a few things I want to get your thoughts on, like Heroes of the Storm. The Hearthstone test seasons conclude, if they haven't already. I've been at work. Have they stopped already, or we're still in the last one?
Yeah, this is the last one. We have, I think, like 3 days left in this one.
Yeah.
It tells you like every time you like go into play mode and stuff.
They said on the forums it's coming too frequently. That annoying reminder.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they maybe hot fixed it because I've seen it less, and I've played a few ranked games today. So.
Oh, I see. Well, new card packs. New card backs.
You suck.
Backing that ass up on the new cards. Pandaria artwork on the back of your cards for your opponent to see. Are coming if you make it to rank 20 on the new season that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that's nothing, man. That's no shit. I don't know about you, but rank 20 is like easy.
You can't lose you can't go down in rank until you reach level 19.
Really?
Yeah, you don't lose. You don't lose. So as long as you keep playing and winning like one match at a time, eventually you'll reach rank 20. So rank 20 isn't really much of an accomplishment. It really like. I think 15 to 10 is like you're above average level players, and then 10 to 5 is like you're really good, and then 5 to 1 is like, all right, you're like a legend.
No, legends, when you hit legend, you goof.
Well, you get my point.
Well, look, it's okay. Because if you hit legend, you get a legend card back.
Yes.
For your opponent to stare at.
Honestly, the Pandaria one looks more appealing to me.
Right. I don't know. Legendary looks kind of cataclysmy.
Yeah.
It's really just cosmetic. Like, I don't understand why we can't just buy it.
Yeah.
It's like when you design a character in an RPG or whatever, and then you spend the entire game looking at the back of their head. Like,
all the facial features and the earrings and the like
the eyebrows and the jaw, all that.
There needs to be a game where there's like no face and you can just like detail the shit out of the back of the character's head. That would be hilarious.
And you select the voice and it's all like immaculate and shit, but you only ever hear like their screams of pain. It's great.
I choose voice 17.
Well, besides those useless card backs, which are, I mean, cool cosmetic little thing, whatever, who cares. Free card packs, 3 of them, are coming with the purchase of Diablo 3 Reapers of Souls expansion.
If you get the deluxe edition. If you get the deluxe edition, you get 3 card packs.
What is that, extra $20?
Yes.
You know what you could do with $20 in Hearthstone?
A lot, man.
You could buy, 15 packs?
Yeah, no. I think there's 20 packs for $15.
Oh. Yeah,
so you can get 20 packs, or how many arena runs is that?
What,
math.
Yeah, math. What is podcast?
It's about math times. So, and if you get the regular Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls expansion, you just get 1 pack.
What an incentive!
It's so like. I mean, I think it's just really cross-promotion for their own games. It's like, oh, I got a free card pack. I might as well just, like, log on and claim it. And then they're like, oh, Hearthstone's actually pretty cool. So I think it's the same thing fans. The same thing they did with the Hearthsteed in World of Warcraft. If you win 3 games in Hearthstone, you get the Hearthsteed. And, you know, the crazy, like, I have to have everything people in World of Warcraft, especially when it comes to mounts. And it's not a bad-looking mount. They're gonna get on Hearthstone to get those 3 wins.
Yeah. You got that Hearthsteed, by the way. How do you feel about that one?
I was excited when I first got it, but then like any other new mount, you see it everywhere, and then you're just like, all right, I'm gonna go back to something I don't see 24/7.
Right, like my Nether Drake or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently on the pursuit of the 100 mounts achievements, and I'm at 58, so
Yeah.
got a ways to go.
What's this about the PAX East Hearthstone booth? I know that they're showing off iPad version of Hearthstone there.
Yes, there's actually a lot of stuff going on there. They're going to be for people who are going to PAX East, they're going to be at booth 848. Their demo stations will be available on April 11th through Sunday, April the 13th. And they're going to have Warlords of Draenor demo, and you can see all the character models and like the beginning things with the expansion, the character model updates. I mean, you'll see some inside stuff for Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, which is on PlayStation 4. There's going to be news for Hearthstone in general there, and more specifically about the mobile version, which you'll be able to playtest there, like you said. You'll also be able to playtest Heroes of the Storm, which is the new MOBA.
Yeah, sounds rad. What's PAX stand for?
I have no idea. I think it's Penny Arcade something.
Yeah, sounds right.
I think it's Penny Arcade
Exchange?
maybe?
What's a penny arcade?
Uh,
Is that literally what it is? Like an arcade that takes pennies?
Alright.
What's that metaphor for?
We're done.
Are we talking about the economy all of a sudden?
Google it. Use your technology. Google. Anyway.
Let's talk about the state of the meta.
Wait. There's a little bit more.
Oh, come on.
The Blizzard developers will be at the booth. People want the news, Devin.
Give it
They
to
don't
them.
want to hear about the meta.
give them the news.
That's it. The Blizzard developers will be there.
Aggro continues to reign.
Of course, aggro, I think, will like forever be like the strongest deck type in this game.
I feel that the aggro archetype is a predominant method of playstyle in today's gaming, for reasons that we won't get into on this podcast, because it just touches on a little bit of philosophy, but whatever. That's subjective. In any case, aggro is best handled, is best dished out, is a dish best served by the chef of Gul'dan, the warlock, who continues to reign in the aggro department.
I don't know.
I'm not saying the warlock's at the top, but the warlock continues to be the best aggro aficionado, wouldn't you say?
They're definitely. I would say shaman might be able to compete with them.
Shaman?
I've seen some pretty sick shaman plays for like aggro decks.
What can a shaman do other than fuck you up with some elementals?
Rockbiter weapon enables them to get really good. It's like really good for early board control if you manage to pull one of those in your first few hands. Fork Lightning is amazing, though it's rather expensive with the 2 overload. It's really good at early board control. And for those who don't know, Rockbiter weapon it gives your character or any minion of your choice 3 attack for that turn for 1 mana.
Yeah.
And Fork Lightning, it deals 2 damage to 2 random enemy minions for 1 mana, but it overloads 2 mana, and an overload is on the next turn, whatever the overload is, you'll have that much mana subtracted from your next turn. And like they have a lot of tools like that. Like Earthshock is really good. Like it destroys Twilight Drake, it destroys Scarlet Crusaders, destroy Leper Gnomes. Like anything with 1 health and an effect just gets destroyed by that thing. And that's if you don't have spell power. So I don't know. Shaman, they can, and then Manatide Totem is like it can support that. If you can get a Manatide Totem out early, it can support that like I need constant draw that Warlock can easily do with their health. So,
Yeah.
Like
It seems like
I've
the
put one together and I've actually won a few matches at rank 14 with them.
wow.
So, I don't know, a shaman warlock or aggro deck,
Shaman aggro?
a shaman warlock aggro,
Shaman warlock aggro.
shaman warlock aggro paladin mage deck.
I hear the Wild Pyromancer, the 2/3/2 after you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to all minions. That card has great synergy with all of the shaman's removal.
And
Counter.
the healing string totem, because it'll deal 1 damage to all your minions, but then healing string heals them all at the end of the turn for for 1 health. So that's
you gotta be careful though. Playing the Pyromancer might kill your totems.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, regardless of whether you're playing Shaman or anything, a good counter aggro is to have the Sun Fury Protector, the 2/2/3 give adjacent minions taunt, and the Defender of Argus, the 4/2/3 Battlecry, give adjacent minions 1/1 and taunt. Those are great counters for aggro, especially in those premium turns of turn 2 and 4. If you can lay those out and get the most efficient mana cost, like you're in a good spot. At least as best as you can be if you're not readily able to handle that with your draw and can't mulligan well enough. What about some priest? How are they doing? Are they still kind of underdogging here and there with some?
Yeah, from my experience, in the people who don't play Hearthstone like a lot, more like the casual players. I'm not saying like I'm a hardcore Hearthstone player or anything, but I play more than like the average person in my like area.
Yeah.
And people who like just kind of casually play it maybe have like, I don't know, they haven't even finished all the basic decks and stuff. They think Priest is OP. And I think Priest does have like one of the strongest like basic card sets. So when you're new, Priest is probably like the strongest. I would say Priest, Hunter, and Priest, Hunter. What's the third one that I was thinking of earlier? Oh, I can't think of it right now. But Priest and Hunter mainly are like the two strongest decks when you have no cards, because they have a good amount of removal and they can make neutral minions work better than other cards can without all the like rares and epics and stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you know how like many of the heroes have overarching themes that ultimately really determine how they're played, whether you mean to or not. Like the Paladin, what with its hero power, typically is aggressive minion heavy, or the Hunter is almost always aggro damage dealing. You think the Priest is ever going to break out of it's basically its control build? You think the Priest will ever you think, I don't know, can you think of any decks that a Priest could play that aren't purely control or a form of survival control? Like, would the giant combinations work?
I've seen a decent Shadow Priest deck, or it's just like a burn deck. They run like what's that one that Holy Fire, I believe it's called, that deals 5 damage and
oh yeah
that one.
5 for
and
5.
Mind Blast actually
Oh, isn't it Mind Blast? I think it's Mind Blast you're talking about.
No, I'm saying Mind Blast in like an addition to that card.
Oh.
Mind Blast, when you're in shadow form. No, I'm thinking of Prophet Valen. I've seen him in the Shadow Priest decks, and when they drop him, Mind Blast is 10 damage for 2 mana. So I've seen a lot of priests just kind of like turtle for the first half until they can drop Prophet Valen.
Yeah.
And then just try to kill you in like one turn with like 2 Mind Blasts and then like minion damage.
Yeah, survival control seems like this is how you play a priest.
Yeah.
And maybe the point is not to get away from that. Maybe I'm just looking for some just some creative input.
It seems like they're just trying to keep them synonymous with how they're played in World of Warcraft, and I feel more towards the PvP side of how they're played,
Yeah.
because in priest PvP in World of Warcraft, that is really what you do, because they don't deal that much damage. It's kind of hard for them to kill things, so they just kind of outlast you and just chip at you throughout the entire fight with like a small bit of damage here and there.
Well, it seems like Shadowform comboed with like kind of a heavy taunt build seems to be a good counter aggro deck you might be able to try. I'm not sure
I mean,
how
I
viable
think
that is.
priest in general is kind of counter aggro, but like they just have a lot of, like, they can make minions beefy. Holy Nova's really good
Yeah.
for if they have like a good sized board control early game. You reach turn 5. There's a lot of minions with 2 health at that point.
Yeah.
So,
Hunters are still Blitzkrieg beast all up in this bitch.
yeah, they're really they're very linear though. That's my problem with Hunter.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of know what all of them are gonna do. If it's not the Unleash the Hound Scavenging Hyena play, it's the, like, I don't even know. Like, I just can't think of like that many different Hunter decks. They all do the same thing, I guess.
Right. I feel like there's not enough options like that. Those and the warrior. The warrior, I don't know. The warrior is interesting, and I don't want to say like the warrior playing warrior can't be calculating. But on the other hand, I feel like the warrior's not very calculating at all. It's always just like, you smash.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but you can combo and rage, and you got all the yeah, but like, there's like 3 or 4 of those. There's really not much you can do, right?
Yeah.
It's always aggro, always weapon, always weapon, and it's
Yeah.
just boring.
Fiery War Axe is mandatory in any warrior deck.
Right.
At least Fiery War Axe. And I don't know.
You know what? I'd be impressed if someone made it to Legend without using weapons, without playing the decks that they need to be played the way they are.
Yeah. I do like look around for warrior decks occasionally, because they are kind of fun to play, but they stop being fun when you lose to something that's just better.
Once Mage got all its spells nerfed, you haven't really seen them around, have you?
Yeah, they're definitely less common. All those frost spells got nerfed. Their control is a lot harder, but I mean, I've seen some pretty strong mage decks. The Kungan, his deck is still doing very well. It's still very popular, and that's usually what I see when I face a mage.
Is it spell heavy, secret heavy, what?
It's kind of you buy time for the first half of the game. There's a lot of free spells. There's like 2 Frost Novas. You got, I can't remember. I know you have like Iceland's Frostbolt, two Frostbolts, 2 Icelands, 2 Frost Novas. I want to say Chrono Code's in there, but I might be wrong on that one. And then there's 2 Ice Blocks, and it just basically, you wait and keep their minions at bay until you have enough mana to just like burn them down in 2 or 3 turns. And it seems to be working really well for Kungan. He's pretty, I don't know his current rank, but he's in the top 5 rank, somewhere around there, 5 through 1. And like, many people have copied the deck and done really well with it. So
Sounds like a gamble that requires you to really know how to play with your card.
It's a very skill intensive deck, which I can always appreciate.
Yeah.
Because then Joe Schmo, who just spent $8 billion on Hearthstone, can just like pick it up and go to rank 1.
Right, there's a difference between knowing synergy and how cards work and how they react, and then just following directions from a net deck.
Exactly.
What about the rogues? They've been rather quiet. They've always been rather quiet, huh?
Yeah, ever since they got nerfed, like right after like early beta phase, they just kind of just been chilling there. I almost want to say Rogue is like the worst class right now.
Even worse than Druid? Druids, I think Druid just has, their cards just aren't great.
Yeah.
They just don't have very good flavor cards.
I think Rogue will get further in like ranked play than a Druid deck will. Because Druid has the same problem. They're also very linear.
Yeah.
And
seems like Druid decks need a lot of outside help, like neutral cards, to really flesh them out. They don't have a bunch of...
The Druid decks from the MLG Invitationals and all the... a few other tournaments, when you see the players' decks, the Druid players, all of them have Cenarius, Sylvanas Windrunner, and before the nerf, they had Tankmaster in it.
Yeah.
And those are just the 3 legendaries that all of them had, not including the other ones that each player decided to put in. So it's just... They definitely needed a lot of outside help, which means it's your class isn't really good. It's more like the cards you put in that with your class are good.
Yeah. Well, you have any other gameplay thoughts as far as Hearthstone is concerned, my friend?
No.
You gonna play some Hearthstone on a portable device? You looking forward to the phones?
I actually don't have any like portable devices that would be compatible with Hearthstone, unless it's on Kindle. I do have a Kindle. I don't know.
I don't think it'll come to Kindle.
I know that they said at BlizzCon that it's gonna be on Android, so it's gonna be
like a Kindle Fire.
Yeah, I have a Kindle Fire.
Oh shit!
Of course, the Kindle.
I'm here sitting here thinking you're talking about an e-reader,
like the regular default Kindle with like the Game Boy graphics.
Yeah,
that would be funny if there was
with the e-ink.
Yeah, it looks like newspaper. I don't even know what they're thinking.
Well, let me ask you, how do you feel about net decking? Like going online,
just like copying pasting decks.
Right,
using those,
and it's usually to the best of your ability because typically you might not have all the cards or whatever.
Yeah.
You think it's like too viable and like necessary? You have to follow the crowd developed tactical, tried and true like niche decks.
Every deck that I see with like a lot of legendaries and stuff, like usually the pro decks or whatever you want to call them, that have a lot of those legendaries and epics and all the higher costs or higher like more rare cards, I guess. The comments on all of those will be like, I don't really have this. What would you recommend substituting? And it's like people will make like half-ass versions of these decks.
Yeah.
As best as they can. Yeah, poor man's versions.
I think the important thing to note with that is not trying to get a card that is great. Like rather than have Sylvanas, you throw in Ragefire Chasm guy. What's his name? Shit. 8 mana. Ragnaros, yeah. Rather than have a Sivnaros, I don't know. You're doing a Ragnaros. Like, no, this, like, what you gotta ask yourself, what is that card doing? Is it control?
Exactly, yeah.
Is it draw?
And it sucks when the decks are like simple enough to the point to where if you have like general knowledge about Hearthstone, you'll do somewhat like semi well with them, because it's like you're not really learning the game,
right?
And it's just gonna bite you in the ass later. Like when somebody does beat you, they're gonna be like, you're not gonna know what to do. You're just probably gonna think of it or go look and find another deck. And it's like, I mean, I guess that's all right, but I mean, I personally wouldn't feel like I've accomplished much if I've never created a deck myself that I did really well with. Right. I know why I put every card in my deck, and I know how I'm going to play this deck.
This is not like some games, particularly WoW in PvE, player versus enemy, where you can literally go into Icy Veins or something and look up how to play, and you can follow it to the T directions, and you will do well. No, you're playing against other human beings, and you're gonna get your ass handed to you if you don't understand and realize like why on a higher intellectual level you're doing the things that you're doing.
Exactly.
Why do you need draw so early? Why should you silence this instead of that? Why should you go for the face right now rather than take out the minions? Why should you take the minions out right now rather than go for the face?
Yeah. There's
And
so
that's-
much
yeah.
more in-game decisions, even with the deck, that you have to know. Like, okay, I have that card in my deck somewhere, so I can kind of afford not to do whatever now. So it's like, if you haven't created that deck yourself, or like play tested it enough, you won't know what the deck is actually capable of. You'll just know that it did well.
Yeah.
So it should work for you too.
Well, to that end, do you net deck, or do you prefer to just go out on your own and make your own decks and just try it out?
Me personally, I've never net decked.
Yeah.
I've looked at decks for like research purposes in order to help me understand why pros pick certain cards and put them in their decks, mostly to find out which cards are good, which cards aren't. I've never said, okay, let me just copy this. Okay, let me use this deck until I figure out. Like, no, I've never personally done that, but I have looked at, like, I look up pro decks and stuff to find out what cards they're using right now, and trying to understand why these decks are working, and then I'll build something similar to that and see if it works for me. So I kind of put my own spin on decks that I do see.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know. Like the Paladin deck that I built, which in my opinion is my best deck right now, I built that completely from scratch on my own, and I was proud of it. And like my first rogue deck was actually pretty good. I got to rank like 18 with it, which is like nothing, but I was proud of it. So
I mean, you're gonna learn the most from making your own decks. You know that
Yeah.
whole saying where like it's the 10,000 hours to master something. It's the same thing. Like you got to dump time into this game, like anything else, to get experience and to get wisdom rather than a simple. This isn't a Twitch shooter. You really got to understand the I don't know, the 50, 100, thousands of combinations that the wild pyromancer or whatever his name is can have and synergize with his cards to master the game, right? And I'm not even close to being there. But I agree with you that I much prefer to craft my own decks and just kind of experiment. I think that's most fun for me. What do you think is most fun in Hearthstone? Like, how do you have fun in Hearthstone? Is ladder fun for you, or do you prefer to arena, kind of gamble, or like prank decks? Do you have like a hipster play style? What do you do to enjoy the most out of Hearthstone?
you're like, what a hipster deck would be like, all like bad cards. You're like running angry chickens and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like hipster deck would be like refusing to play by the meta at all costs.
It's like they use like druid angry chicken decks.
Taunt hunter decks.
That's pretty funny. I don't really know. Like, my favorite aspect of Hearthstone is winning when the opponent thought they won, and they're like, well played, well played, well played, well played. Like, the whole time through my turn, they're like just waiting for the emote to come off cooldown just so they can say it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come back and win. That's like the most satisfying feeling of anything I can do in Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like they get so confident, not realizing that now, for one, that this is a card game, so there's a lot of luck involved, and you have no idea what's in this deck that you think you defeated at turn 4 because you got me at 20 health and you have minions on the field and I don't. It's like, let's relax, play the game, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. What pulls you in on a more meta level? Like when you're thinking about what you want to do, you sit at the computer. What pulls you into Hearthstone? Is it the thought of opening decks and getting that kind of reward, or is it maybe some RPG elements about leveling up your character, getting a golden hero, or is it the competitive play where you just want to feel the victory of winning, or you just want to learn? For me, sometimes it's about opening decks, but most of the time, it's about I just want to play like this gorgeous looking game and like the graphics are so appealing. I just want to play with the artwork.
I would say my primary motivation for playing would be the RPG elements,
Yeah.
like putting that time in to get the golden heroes and
Seeing that bank of dust and coins stack up.
yeah, like because now it's almost already to the point for me where I have most of the good cards, and now I'm starting to just collect for like the sake of collections. Before I would every time I got an angry chicken or something that I would never use, even if it was a good card, it just wasn't my thing. I would dust it to make cards that I would use or actually wanted.
Yeah.
But now all of the cards that I want and use, I have them for the most part.
Right, that's how I feel like when I get a pack. I almost don't want to open it because I know it's seldom going to be anything I want, and I just want to stock up on that good stuff. You know what I mean?
Like my dust meter just slowly fills to the point where it's like, all right, what am I gonna spend this dust on next? And then I'll eventually think of something. I'm like, oh, well then I'll just spend like 400 dust on that.
Right.
And like
the metal will change, and you'll need a different legendary or something.
And then there's even like decks I know aren't good, but they're kind of fun to play.
Yeah.
Like Edwin Van Cleef decks and stuff like that. Like Edwin Van Cleef decks take a lot of other legendaries from my experience. I think Leroy Jenkins is in there somehow, and Blood Mage Thalnos is in there. So like I don't have Leroy or Blood Mage Thalnos. So I can't make like a full Leroy or Edwin deck. Apparently those are like common with him.
Yeah,
I still personally don't see how Leroy's like obligatory to
he's the new Reckless Rocketeer.
Yeah.
But he's a finisher, which I don't know, doesn't give that doesn't make him a good excuse to be in every deck in my opinion. Some decks, yeah, but I don't know.
Like my Ellen deck for Rogue doesn't have. He's the only legendary in the deck, and like I have plenty of other legendaries. It's just he's the only one that I thought to put in there, and I'm trying to get him working. I've done a few like, oh my god, that play was so cool. Like I'll do it. I'm like Rogue is my favorite class because they're the most fun to me, but they're just bad.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think they suffer from the Druid thing where their cards aren't as great as other classes' flavor cards.
They have a few of them. Like Defias Ringleader's amazing.
It's all combo or control though.
Yeah, SI7 agent's good. And it's like the problem with them is like everything is about early game.
Right.
So if you
it's all early game, but none of it is rush.
Yeah, it's just like I'll kill something, but it's not. I don't know how. I can't really put my finger on it, but it just feels inadequate. Like there's not enough of something, and I don't know what it is yet.
It's like all the early power, but without any of the charge. Like
yeah.
Your shit's got to survive.
The minions are too weak. I think that's what it is.
You got so many small minions, and then little control things. Like too many control cards and situational cards for your flavor cards that all determine like all. I'll rely on you even playing that way. Like, what if you don't even play like a hunter? You don't always play with traps. What if you don't play with stealth? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so many cards rely on that. Kind of corners the rogue class, I think, into playing a certain way, which isn't great on its own. But I digress. How do you feel that players that mash all the buttons like in a 2D fire? You know, you can sit there and know the combos and shit, but like your mom will come play and she'll just hit all the fucking buttons.
Yeah.
And still kick your ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you feel like, so to speak, players that have that mindset and they just throw whatever looks great, like it's an 8/8/8 and it's gonna be great, and they throw these decks together and they go against your well calculated, warlock deck or whatever, and
there's
they
like
kick your
algebra
ass.
symbols on the other side of the map when you're playing.
Exactly.
Like, oh, no.
And then they beat you soundly.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? How do you feel that?
I mean, it's a
It's stubborn, but
it's
like
a quote
newbie.
that me and my friends pass around. I don't even know what it's from, but we're all like, "It's the heart of the cards, darling."
God damn it!
It's the heart of the cards. I mean, I expect that to happen. It is a game. It is a card game. There's luck involved. There's like, oh, if I would have drawn that, I would have won. that it happens all the time. So
Yeah.
like Hearthstone's one game I can never get frustrated with unless there's I mean like with my personality in general, it's very like hard for me to get upset with anything. But
Yeah. Don't hate the game, but you can hate the player when that player beats you with said deck, and then they go on to think that their cards and tactics were boss shit.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
And it's like at the same time I'm thinking like, okay, if you think that's good, then that's you. But I mean, it's pure fact that
Yeah.
chicken decks aren't good. You just got lucky.
Take that into ladder.
When players win like one match, like I've seen people win like one match against a person, and they're like, my deck is better. That does not, like, what? You have to do a set. I would say
they didn't even play Enraged Chicken.
yeah, like in my opinion, I would say 5 or wait, how would you? Okay, you got 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5. What's the next tier above 3 out of 5?
5 out of or 6 out of 10. I don't know.
5 out of 7?
Sure. Yeah.
Is it 5 out of 7 or 4 out of 7?
Math, man. No.
It's math out of whatever. Math out of math.
Heart of the math.
I personally would think I want a best out of 10, whatever the number would have to be. I guess 5. First to 5 maybe. I think that's the best way to test if a deck is better than another one, because there's luck involved with this game, and you can get bad luck 3 times in a row, even in like a 3 out of 5 set.
Yeah.
Which typically is the standard from what I see for Hearthstone.
The devs like to say there's not as much chance as there is skill, but I mean I just don't buy it. Like sometimes, like I don't know, 10%
Like,
interest on anything is a lot of interest.
Like cards like Arcane Missiles are a perfect example of how skill is not required for that card. Like, say you have 2 1/1, some 2 cards with 1 health. The missile split, hit one, hit the other, and then hit you in the face. Like, what? That's the only card that could do that for 1 mana at this point in the game, and it's like, that wasn't skill. You got lucky, and now I lost the game because I lost board control because you got lucky with Arcane Missiles.
With RNG.
Yeah. I've used Arcane Missiles, and they've only had 1 creature with 1 health, and all 3 missiles hit them in the face. I'm like, great.
Yeah, that's what I find so funny about the devs saying like it's not about RNG, it's about skill. Yet they nerf cards like the what was it, Tinkmaster, to make them more RNG.
Yeah.
As a tactic to reduce player what am I trying to say? Reduce
like
players having right.
Auto include cards.
Right, and taking advantage of it.
Yeah, because I don't want there to be like 4 or 5 cards that have to be in every deck. You have to have a Tank Master, you have to have a Sylvanas, you have to have a Ragnarok. Like, I don't want it to ever get to that point. And
yeah,
it
but on the
almost
other
was,
hand, yeah. But I mean, on the other hand, like the RNG is rather great because it keeps everyone from rocking the exact same deck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's another thing. You never can have the perfect deck because there's RNG. Because I feel like even with draw being like a mechanic, you can still like. I kind of like this Paladin deck I'm using right now. Typically, every card I pull, I'm like, yes, I'm glad I pulled that, and that's rare when I feel that from a deck. Like I try not to put cards in where they're like, crap, I don't need that right now, or I don't want that. I mean, that's impossible to have that for every single card, but I don't know. Yeah. That's just my feeling from the Paladin deck I'm running right now.
You want to know what my feelings are right now? I'm feeling we should take a break. So when we come back, we're going to talk about some other shit, ask you a few questions about some other games going on, talk about this Facebook acquisition of the Oculus.
Right.
So we'll be right back. In the meantime, enjoy some wonderful Cloud Kicker by Ben Sharp. And we're back. Okay, then. So, was your knee-jerk reaction, my friend, dear friend Richard Burrell, was your knee-jerk reaction to hearing about Facebook buying Oculus Rift for $2 billion? A violent projectile vomiting, or a praise to the gods, this independent company is now guaranteed success in some form or another? How do you feel?
I felt two ways about it. One, I'm glad that amount of money was invested into the Oculus Rift because I love the idea of Oculus Rift. I still haven't personally used one, but I've seen like a lot of YouTubers use them and seen reviews on it, and everyone says like it immerses you in the gameplay so deep, especially horror games. That seems to be like the most popular thing on them.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to escape.
Yeah, you feel like you're actually in there because of the way it looks when you're on the inside.
Right.
And I just like I've seen like roller coaster simulators, and there's like people freaking out just sitting in a chair. Like they said, it really felt like they were on a roller coaster and things like that. Like I always like to see something innovative and fun in the gaming like community. So I like that there was like a lot of support for it, obviously from Facebook. They paid $2 billion for it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, why Facebook? Like, why did they buy it? What is Facebook gonna like? Are we gonna have like 3D Farmville? Like, I'm really plowing this farm.
Right. I think the big question, is what does a social network have getting their hands on something that we all assumed was going to primarily be a video game piece of hardware, an entertainment piece of hardware?
This could be the beginning of like virtual reality networking, maybe. It's like social networks, maybe.
Let's brainstorm. What would that look like? Like what would that look like having Facebook endorse or bring something about? Because all I can think of is maybe virtual chat rooms.
Virtual chat rooms. Like
you're sitting there looking at your quote unquote friend's avatar or whatever.
Yeah, or maybe they could even get it to the point where they have like very good facial recognition. You upload a picture and it like slaps it with bump mapping onto like a model maybe, and it sort of looks like a CGI version of your friend, and then you guys can like do virtual hangouts in virtual environments. That would be something cool, like if that ever happened.
But at what point is it so gimmicky it's arbitrary?
I'm like, every time I think of virtual reality and like doing things while sitting down, I think of the scene from WALL-E where the people are like flying around on the highway on their chairs with like TV screens. It's like, I don't want us to reach that point, but I mean, every time I see something like that, I'm like, ooh.
Well, hopefully Facebook will kind of back off and be a little distant.
Yeah, I would prefer if it kept going in the direction that it's going now, personally.
But then again, I just blame my lack of imagination on this and what Facebook has in store. Maybe they'll just simply fund it, and so that therefore, if VR really takes off, and it seems like it will, hopefully it won't be just like 3D, which came and went, and everyone spent so much money on TVs, me included. Hopefully it won't be like that. Hopefully, this will really pick up somewhere. And I can't even begin to fathom how Facebook could use Oculus.
I can't think of any like how Facebook what.
I mean, I barely understand Oculus as anything other than a gimmick. I didn't really grasp how exciting Oculus Rift VR in general is until someone described it to me this way, where it's like, it's like, okay, you're just strapping a TV onto your face, big deal. But no, someone described it to me where, like, imagine you're in the cockpit of a jet, right? We all have that. We can all picture that. Yeah. You get the cockpit, you look down, okay, and you see all the shit in the hardware. You look up, like mid-length level, you got the window, and you can see the horizon, all this shit. And let's say you're playing a jet game on your PC with a controller, or on your PS4 or whatever with the controller in your hands. That's easy enough to symbolize the steering wheel or what have you for the cockpit jet controls. Okay, and you got the Oculus Rift on. Okay, so while your hands are controlling the ship, the jet or whatever, flying or whatever. All the Oculus Rift or VR is doing is giving you essentially a third stick to move your vision, a third analog to move, which prior we could never do. We only have two thumbs, right? So you're steering the jet, and say you press L1 and you to kind of tilt left, and you move the left analog stick to the left, and you start tilting to the left, and all of a sudden an enemy jet is coming up on your right. You can hear it on your right because the headset and the headphones and shit, you can just tell by the noise and all that. So you look over, and your display looks over with you. So basically, you can control the ship on one point, but like a tank, you can swivel your vision around, and that shit is phenomenal. Looking out the right side of your ship while you're pivoting to the left, dodging missiles and shit. That's exciting.
And I was watching like horror games, and they would hear like noises behind them, and they would turn like their head around, like they would actually swivel like in their chair and turn, and like there would be nothing there, but they heard something, but they would be still like running away from the sound, but like looking behind them. And then they would turn back around, and then something would be in front of them, and it's like, holy shit, that's so scary. That's so much scarier. Like, if you hear something behind you in a horror game normally, you'll like, I mean, you can like, because you can like walk backwards and turn your camera at the same time, but it's just not the same as like actually physically turning around and looking back, but knowing your character is still running the other way. I don't know. It's just something amazing about that to me.
Right. I couldn't grasp how fun this could be until I grasped the depth of the interaction. Because, you know, there's the gimmicks like Wii Sports and shit where you're waving a remote around pretending it's a thing. But you got to stand up and do this shit. The VR is a good in-between. You can still sit down and you're moving, but you're not going out of your way. You're trying... Okay, video games and entertainment, it's all about escapism, okay? You're not trying to do work when you get home from work and enjoy some free time off. You're not trying to get up and exercise sometimes, you know? But everyone turns their head like that's natural, okay? You can just do that. You can just look around and turn around and be like, oh shit, there's nothing there. And then look back in front of you and there's a fucking monster. It's going to frighten you because you can't escape. You can't look away from the TV.
Yeah.
You can't... You're stuck. You're stuck there.
And then there's some games where they put in blinking, like as an effect on the camera, like in the game. And some people were like, I was forgetting to blink because the game was blinking for me. Oh, wow. It's like, that's like immersion at its finest. Oh. Like, that's really crazy. Like the Oculus Rift has really like mastered the, like it can make games with like terrible, because like I think like sound and music and like, I don't know, the smallest details add to immersion, and immersion is one of my favorite aspects of video games in general. And the Oculus Rift can amplify amazing immersion, such as games like I don't know, I can't think of a good example right now.
Well, the immersion should be like a considerable point of polish for our escapism, be some quality shit, you know? The sound's got to be great, which I think we've mastered that by this day and age as far as technology allows. Mm-hmm. You can get a home theater system, or you can get a headset with badass acoustics. I mean, we generally got that down. Next is the three-dimensional viewing experience, you know? 3D didn't cut it, and so we wanted more. And Oculus and that kind of thing is trying to bring that to us. Now, we return to the question, what business does a social network like Facebook have, putting themselves on the front line of VR and its potential success along with Sony's Morpheus? And, you know, that leads to another question. Which of these several $100 headsets are we going to end up buying?
The one I have now is pretty dope, so I don't know.
No, like a VR headset. Are we going to buy the Oculus for $500 and then
that's what you meant.
Yeah, turn around and buy a $300 Sony Morpheus for the PS4? You know what I mean?
I personally haven't seen or heard much about the Morpheus. Like the Oculus Rift is still like in beta itself, but I've seen so much about it already that like I'm already leaning towards that, but I have to look into the Morpheus more before I can make that decision.
Well, here's a good point. Facebook not necessarily being in the entertainment industry so far as EA, Sony, Microsoft. They're kind of slightly neutral. I mean, they're not. Their toes are just in mobile gaming. They're not full-fledged into mobile gaming, so they're kind of neutral. Them buying up Oculus Rift rather than another company, like say EA, like they said on one of Giant Bomb's podcasts, them buying it is much better than EA buying it, who would turn around and say, yeah, EA or Oculus only works with EA games. So at least that's better. At least Oculus got some good funding, and we're going to see this hardware come to good fruition, get better specs, quality, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to sell at a cost to us that they're going to make up in content. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing where VR takes off too, but it seemed like it picked up pretty quickly this year, 2014.
Yeah, it started towards the end of last year, and it just kind of exploded with the new year.
Yeah. I think folks are a little intimidated by Facebook's acquisition. Seems a little insidious to some. I'm not really sure. It's too early to tell.
Well, I mean, we'll see what they do with it. Yeah. I hope it's mostly just funding, because I don't want them to ruin it. Kind of just like put like Facebook integration on it, and it's like heavily integrated with social networks and all this other crazy stuff.
Yeah, but Facebook's been pretty intelligent about everything they do. I mean, let's cut the bias out of it. The changes Facebook has made has caused people to be upset, but that's purely because people don't fucking like change. It's not because those decisions were bad. I mean, let's take opinions out of it. The changes they've made to Facebook's user interface have been intelligent, right?
I would agree, yeah.
I mean, whether or not you like them, they've been intelligent. If you step back and look at it, like, it makes sense they would simplify things and cut a bunch of fat off of it. And Facebook's an intelligent company. You don't get to be so successful like this for so long, without making intelligent decisions and being, business tactful. So I feel like Oculus is in decent hands for the time being, at least financially. In the meantime, why don't we play some Heroes of the Storm?
No.
Why not? Come on! What's wrong with Heroes of the Storm?
I don't think, okay, I'm all for the idea of seeing Blizzard characters that we all know and love in a different setting, like beating the shit out of each other and all that stuff. It's really cool. But as a MOBA, I'm not pumped for it, because for one, I play League of Legends, and I know with it's just like a stigma with new MOBAs in general. When they first come out, they get redundant really quickly, because there's only X amount of heroes, and once you get tired of that group of heroes, I mean, I think they have about maybe 30 heroes already, which is a good size, but it's like, compare it to Dota or League of Legends, when there's almost 200 champions. It's I would say almost 150 champions. It's there's so much more variety. There's so much I don't know. It doesn't get redundant as quickly as something where you don't especially when most of the characters in League of Legends are viable right now.
Yeah.
It's you have the ones that are viable, the ones that are OP, so they're really fun to play, and then you have the few that are just don't ever play that character because they're that bad. There's not many of those out of the hundreds, or the 130-ish, I think, right now in League of Legends. And
so
go ahead.
I'm sorry. So your issue is basically the same as Warcraft, where you don't want to, you got your brand of cola. You don't want to spend over 100 days purely of gameplay time in something you've already done that with, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's more or less.
And League currently has more to offer for you anyway. Heroes of the Storm is still going through balance changes. I mean, it's in alpha.
Yeah.
So at the very least, they're not going to get you over to their side to check it out anytime soon with what's going on currently.
I mean, they did it with Hearthstone, because I had zero interest in card games like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, all that stuff. And I never cared much for card games, but I love Hearthstone to death, and it's mostly because it has World of Warcraft intertwined with it. Something that I already love, just kind of sprinkled onto another type of thing that I normally wouldn't mess with. So.
Well, let's break a MOBA down into layman's terms, because this is what I needed. It's what I didn't understand, because Heroes of the Storm is basically my first foot in the door of MOBAs, because Dota was so intimidating. And I didn't even know about League of Legends, LOL. What exactly is a MOBA? It's a war game, and you got to understand concepts of, like, in war, you got the generals who never ride into battle alone or take things up on their own. They have subordinates. They have they have soldiers and shit that are on the front lines taking most of the damage, and the generals are handling the more important tasks. And it's important that the generals stay alive. It's important that the generals get the attention, and it's important that the generals work together to take down the other generals. And that's how you win games. It's how you win war, and so on and so forth. So taking that concept and applying it to this video game, you control the generals as the character, and you're responsible for fulfilling particular objectives, such as, it could be anything from collecting more coins than the opposing team and then turning them into a vendor, and then if you turned in more coins, that vendor, who could be a pirate on a flying pirate ship, would then attack the opponent's team, and they would suffer certain losses that would help your team inch closer to victory, all the while maintaining your life and making sure your NPCs, your minions, fight ahead of you. At least that's how Heroes of the Storm goes. Is that generally the same for League?
No, that's actually one thing that I was going to point out, that it does have a different objective system than League of Legends. And it seems pretty unique.
There's none of this sub-menu shit during gameplay, like vendoring.
Yeah, they don't have items. That's what I hear.
At the most, it's like you level up on the fly, and it's like, here's 3 options. Quickly read, it's not like paragraphs. It's like 2+ health every time you level up, or so that kind of. You just click one, and you're good to go. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, that League of Legends has that aspect where you don't have to. When it comes to leveling up, they're like, it just pops up like 3 little plus signs next to each skill, and you're like, choose which one you want to level up when you do this, and it'll say damage increase, blah 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 blah. Really simple, really quick, and most of the time you know what you're going to level up on your character anyway. But they do have the items, and you have to go back to base to buy the items, and then come back to the battlefield, and blah 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 blah.
In Heroes, all you ever have to go to the base for is to heal. If you're too bad.
Yes, you got to go that. You got to go back to heal, and you got to go back to buy items. And I mean, there are ways to heal outside of the base, of course, through like lifesteal and actual heals.
But it's slow.
Yeah, it's much slower than just returning back to the base. And there are bonus objectives in League of Legends, but both bonus objectives are kill this giant thing, get a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's like there's no go give this guy money and then he's gonna help your team. It's kind of a unique because there's a boss called Baron. Wait, what's his full name? I can't remember it.
Baron Geddon?
Oh. They call him Baron. It's Baron something, but I forgot the rest. And you kill him, and then your entire team receives a buff that increases like a bunch of primary attributes, and basically makes it easier to kill the enemy team and their structures. I mean, it's cool. It's kind of like a mini like raid boss fight in the middle of the map, and if your opponents are near it, you have to kill them or keep them away from it while your team fights it, and it can get pretty like stressful and like fun and all this other stuff. But it's still not a unique objective like bringing coins to a vendor or I can't remember the other examples I saw when I was watching the video. And
there's one where you have to go into the mines, like everyone has to go into the mines and kill undead to get skulls, and then once all the undead are dead in the mines, everyone hearths out of there, and then depending on how many skulls you got, this huge minion resurrects, like a golem resurrects, and depending on how many skulls you earn for your team from the undead and you killed in the mines determines how strong they are, which they then, it's an NPC, which they then proceed to try to crash through the enemy structures.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's unique and like epic and fun. So, like, I'm not saying the game doesn't have a chance to, like, wow me, but get it? But anyway, yeah. I'm not saying that the game doesn't have a chance to, like, pull me in and...
Well, here's this: if you get an alpha key in the email or something, just hop in with me and at least help me learn MOBAs a little bit better, because I don't know what I'm fucking doing. It's already, I mean, it's only in technical alpha, but playing with a bunch of other unknown players that are like not on my friends list, who are already elitist losers that tell me I don't know how to fucking play, and they're not wrong, but I don't. There's certain things like I don't understand. Like the whole thing of like being so cautious and not taking as little damage as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's like general MOBA knowledge. Like I've been playing MOBAs for like 8 years now. Basically, I don't know, since I was in like 9th grade. So
yeah, I have a hard time figuring out when I should keep whacking on the dude, like on the opposing hero, or when I should start backing out.
Yeah, it's all about like positioning, where are your teammates when you're fighting them. In League, the minions, the little creeps that run around or whatever, that are just kind of like foot soldiers, I guess.
Yeah.
When you attack a hero, they attack you. Like they'll stop attacking each other and they'll attack you. So you have to be cautious if there's any of those guys around, because their damage plus the hero damage, you'll probably lose the fight, because he has help whereas you may not.
I see.
So that's something to consider, at least in League of Legends. I don't know how their targeting works in Heroes of the Storm, but
minions are always frontline. Like everything, like any NPC or NPC damage of any sort always targets minions, and if there are no minions of yours to soak up any computer damage, it all gets struck to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Let's wrap up in the meantime. As usual, all of our shows are on YouTube. Feel free to email us at duelistsdiscussion at gmail.com. Thanks for your iTunes reviews. We recently got a poor one about some guy said, or some gal, who knows, said it took us forever to get into the Hearthstone news. I mean, we're not robots, and Hearthstone is not really a fast-paced game as far as news goes. You know, it's generally the same thing every week, every month, with the meta being really the only thing that changes, especially in the last few months. So, you know, it's Duelist Discussion podcast. It's not all Hearthstone all the time. We're not a pro podcast Hearthstone players, you know, obviously by any means, but you know, we try to be conversational. But that's done with. I'm done with my justification. In any case, thank you for the criticism. Love that shit. Sometimes it's pretty funny to read. We're on Twitter at Discussion Show. Duelistdiscussion.squarespace.com is where you can find all of our shows. We're on Facebook. And you can find us on Stitcher, any podcatcher that you like, whatever. We thank you for joining us for episode 19. I'm your host, Devin Casey. Joining me today was Rashard Burrell. And we look forward to seeing you again on the next episode.
Everything. This is all digital.